in your virtual engagement materials. All right, so in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn off your cameras. When your camera is off, spend 2 minutes working through the grade 6 problems at the top of page 5 in your virtual engagement materials. For letter B, try drawing your own tape diagram. And so when we come back together, I'm going to ask you to hold up your tape diagram to your camera. So again, you have 2 minutes for this work. Turn your cameras off now, and then turn them back on when you're ready to re-engage.
You may have noticed that the facilitator repeated the directions, and the producer used the chat to communicate what the facilitator was asking participants to do. Also notice how the facilitator turns her own camera off, modeling for participants what they should be doing in that moment.
Let's take about 1 more minute for this grade 6 work. All right, Asha, are you seeing some of those cameras coming back on?
Yes, Natalie. I see a few, but it looks like we might need a little bit more time.
Perfect. Let's take about another 27 seconds to complete this work.
Okay, Natalie, most of us are ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Asha. If you haven't done so yet, please turn your videos back on now. And welcome back. It's time to hold your tape diagrams up to the camera. All right, Asha, what are you seeing?
Interesting. I see a few different types of models here.
I wondered if that would happen. Thank you guys for sharing. Now that we've had our own chance to draw our models, let's take just a moment to think back to how our grade 6 work relates to our work on page 4. Take a few seconds and compare your work from page 4 and page 5, and just jot down any noticings that you have. In just a moment, Asha is going to move you into breakout rooms for 3 minutes. During this time, discuss with your group the similarities and differences that you notice between page 4 and page 5, and share your thinking surrounding the models that you drew for letter B. I want you to be prepared to share your thinking surrounding your model when we return from the breakout room. Raise your virtual hand in the participant tab if I can answer any questions about how you'll spend the next 3 minutes.
You may have noticed that the facilitator verbalized the instructions for the breakout room discussions. The producer posted those instructions in the chat. Additionally, the facilitator allows space for participants to ask questions surrounding how they will be spending their time in the breakout room.
All
right, Natalie, I don't see any raised hands.
Excellent. So Asha, I think we can go ahead and send them to the 3-minute breakout room.
Natalie, everybody is back at this time.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. We hope that you had very productive and insightful conversations with your group. So when it comes to those tape diagrams, we often see two models popping up. And here is the first. Raise your virtual hand in the participant tab if you or someone in your breakout room drew a model similar to the one shown and you'd like to share your thinking.
Let's continue to see if your thinking matches what the participants did.
Asha, do you see any hands?
I do. Let's, Brittany, can you unmute yourself for us?
Yeah, so in our group, we talked about some tape diagrams that had individual partitions on that page 4, and so we kind of just did the same thing here with this one.
Awesome. Yeah, Brittany, and what you did, really that building on the prior experience with elementary tape diagrams, that's what we hope that this repeated exposure to the models will inspire your students to do as well. That's an awesome noticing. Thank you, Brittany, so much for sharing. Other times, we'll see a model that looks something like this. Let me know if you have a model like this one.
Let's continue to see if your thinking matches what the participants did.
I guess I'll go.
Notice how the participants were unsure of what to do in response to the facilitator's question. Some used the participant tab, others responded in the chat, and in the end, someone unmuted and offered to share their response. The facilitator should make sure to include how they would like participants to respond to the posed questions. Do they want participants to unmute and share? Raise their hand in the participant tab? Or use the chat feature to communicate?
In order to reflect on step 1, discern the plot, please reread the first quote from the professional reading, which can be seen on the screen. In just a moment, Natalie will post a link in the chat to a collaborative space called Nearpod. This platform is going to allow us to have a silent conversation in order to share your reflections on Discern the Plot. During this activity, you only need your web browser showing on your device. Remember that you can reach out to Natalie if you're having any trouble accessing Nearpod. When you open the web page, please enter your name. And if you are unable to access the Nearpod link, please feel free to post your response in the chat, and Natalie will be sure to share it. Please take 2 minutes now to write a personal reflection on your thoughts about step 1 with a guiding question in mind. What makes discern the plot an essential step in preparing a lesson? Once you are finished typing your response, click Post. If you finish early, begin reading others' responses. In the next minute, read the responses of your colleagues. If you agree with a posted response, click the heart icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the sticky note.
Asha, in addition to what's on the screen there, we do have a response in chat from Amanda. She says it's essential because you need to know what's being asked of the students in the end of the unit assessment so that you can build on their knowledge from the exit slips to ensure that they have what they need to know for the end of the unit assessment.
Since the facilitator gave a clear instruction at the beginning of the activity of how to engage if participants were unable to access Nearpod, one participant was able to give their response and contribute to the conversation with an alternative method.
Thank you, Amanda. Hi, Dreama. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about supporting students?
Sure. It causes you to really think about where the lessons are heading and what the students need to know and how you can address potential misunderstandings or misconceptions earlier on when the problems are simpler before getting to the more complex problems.
Thank you so much, Dreama, and thank you everyone for sharing your wonderful thoughts around the importance of discern the plot in the lesson preparation process. We ask that you please keep the lesson open and just minimize your browser and meet us back on the Zoom display. We will be returning to this Nearpod space later in the session to reflect on our next step.
Maybe you focused on the use of clear instructions to ensure that participants always know what they are meant to be doing at a given time. Or possibly you considered the use of clear instructions as a way to continue engagement. Clear, concise directions are crucial to a successful facilitation and maintaining pace within your session. To complete this module, post an entry in your reflection notebook that summarizes your learning. Be prepared to take this learning and apply it to future facilitations. Thanks for joining us.